Hello friends and welcome to this channel. What you'd have done if say someone would have given you a sheet and which contained multiple sheets with data in them, although their format was similar, and you wanted to create a dashboard where you could just select say a criteria from the drop down menu, and your data would refresh according for that particular sheet or for that particular criteria. Normally, what you and me would have already done was that would have written a long code with if statement. So say my code would look something like this. So equal to if this value equals to region 1, then probably I would have written VLOOKUP this value from region 1. This would have been my range, comma, I would have wanted the actual, so 2, range would have been 0, right? And then if it was false, if again I would have written an if statement, referred this equals to range 2, comma, then again I would have applied a VLOOKUP formula, and this time I would have referred to region 2, and if this would have been false, then again a VLOOKUP formula. This time I'll be again referring this cell and I'll be looking it up in region 3. Again the same thing, I'll close these brackets and you would have got the data. So if I select any region or criteria, then it will look for that criteria in the sheet where I've asked the formula to do that for me. So you would have got a formula similar to like this. Very complicated, right? Now what if I tell you there is an easier way of doing this, and how we can do that is by using a formula called indirect. So what indirect does is that it converts this criteria into a range, and it can then refer to a sheet whose name is also matching to that particular criteria. So over here you can see that the formula is doing the same thing, but the only thing different over here is the sheet name. So if I'm selecting region 1 over there, it's looking for a sheet name with region 1. If I'm selecting region 2, it's looking for a sheet name region 2, and so forth. So what indirect can do is that it can convert this text region 2 into a range, and it will act that as a range in the formula as an address, so that you don't have to type in such long formulas. So let's see how how that works. So I'll delete this and we'll start over by typing in equal to, and this time we do not have to give any if statements. We can straight away type in VLOOKUP. Yep. So lookup value will still remain sales. That is the criteria that I'll set over here. That is in the dashboard sheet. Now here where the trick applies. In table array, normally what you have to have done, you would have selected region 1, then your column range, that is region 1, A, colon and D. Now we can convert all of this from a text or a reference. So let's quickly do that. So what we will do, we'll type in indirect. Now within indirect, we need to create the say the address, how you'll refer to that sheet. So whenever you type in an address or refer a sheet or refer a cell in another sheet, normally what happens is that whenever there is like spaces between those, so you can see there is a space between region and one, we insert that sheet's name within single quotes. And if it would have been like only region, then there was no need of putting that within a quote, but that is an optional, you can still do that. So our syntax is also going to be something like that. So when I type in indirect, so first of all I'll open a double quote, I'll type in a single quote, and again I'll close the double quote. So this will denote that my first letter would be a single quote. Then I'll give an ampersand because I want to connect all these texts together to prepare that one address or the cell reference. So now what we'll do, we'll refer this cell, right? Because that will be one single apostrophe, then region 2, then again I'll give an ampersand, and now I need to close that apostrophe. Yeah, so I've given that in double quotes. Now once I've referred the sheet name, then if you remember what we have a exclamation mark. So we now need to include an exclamation mark in this formula. So again I'll give a ampersand. Again we'll open a double quote and we'll insert a exclamation mark and close this. So now what we have done is that we have created the sheet name reference as a text, but within that text we have made the region 2, that is the name of the sheet, as dynamic. Now we need to refer that column from where we need to fetch the data, so that will also come under those double quotes. So we'll again give apostrophe ampersand, we'll open the double quotes. Now for simplicity I've kept all of them in the same format so that it will be easier. So I'll give this quote and I'll close this. Now let's give a dollar sign to lock them so that when we'll copy and paste it here and there so that it does not shift. Yeah, okay. So now our cell reference or the range from where I need to fetch the data has been established. Now we can close the bracket. So this whole indirect will now convert everything that is there in the brackets into a cell reference. So once that is done, now it's again back to the normal VLOOKUP formula. So I want the actual, so that is the second column from the first, so second, and lookup value would be false, that we need an exact match. And now we can close the bracket and let's press enter and see what happens. So as you can see, because I've selected region 2, it has now picked up region 2 as the cell reference or the address where we need to fetch the data from, and it is looking for sales value over there for actuals. So as you can see, if I go to the region 2 sheet, it's now picking up sales and actual, that is 5,000. Again, now if I select region 1 over here, it is now fetching what is there in region 1, and if I select region 3, it is now fetching what is there in region 3. So what we had initially, that big set of formula where we were including a lot of if statements within if statements, in fact we were creating a nested if statement. You have crunched that formula down from that big nested if formula to just one basic VLOOKUP formula, and you have created a dynamic uh, reference or a dynamic address where you need to provide the array. So that's how you can use indirect not only with VLOOKUP, but you can use indirect with any kind of formula where you need to refer to another sheet or cell, and you can make that formula dynamic as well. So all we now need to do is copy this over and we'll see how the whole thing works. So just one thing to do, we'll lock these cells so that it's easier for me to copy them over and paste them. And I've just typed in the numbers for the column reference. You can also insert a match formula if you want to do that. So I think let's do this. We'll copy this over here. Oops, I think something got missed. Okay, yes, I need to log this in as well. Okay, now let's copy them over. Yeah, now you can see it's all working fine. Okay, I just need to change the column number over here. 4. Just copy them. And now you can see I think this will work just fine. So I've selected region 3. So this is the value that you're getting. If I go to region 3 sheet, these are the values that it's there. So I know that this formula is working fine now. So over here also you can see it's fetching the data from region 1, and if I select region 2, it's fetching the data from region 2. So you can see how Indirect can make your life very easy, and your complex formulas, it can convert them into very simple formulas which you can understand. It will also be very easy for you to add on sheets to this as well. So you don't have to make any changes to the formula. The only change that you'll have to do would be in the data validations, or however, in whichever way you will be selecting your sheet name. So say if I add another sheet over here, so I'll give it say region 4, right? And I'll just copy this over there. Yeah, and I'll just give it some random numbers to go ahead with. Yeah, so I've added a new sheet. I do not have to make changes to the formula. All I need to do is I just need to add on that region 4 to my list. So you can just do that and make sure that it's the same format. Click OK. So I'll just select region 4 and it will fetch the data from region 4 for me. So you do not have to make any changes to the formula. This will do it for you, and it will make your life a lot more easier. One point that you need to remember is that you need to ensure that whatever will be your criteria that you have set, uh, which will be part of your indirect formula, it it should be equal to, or it should exactly match to the name of that sheet which you're going to refer. Because if there is going to be any mismatch between both of them, your formula will not work. So say for example, if I change this from region space 1 to say just region 1 without any spaces, and in my indirect formula, the criteria or the selection had a space. So if you select that, see, it's going to give you a ref error. So you need to make sure that both of them always remain the same. So if you're going to make any changes to the sheet name, make sure that you go into that data validation and you update the name over there as well. Otherwise you're going to end up having errors in your sheet. So I hope you can make use of the indirect formula in your dashboards or workings as well, and you can use it with any formula that is there in MS Excel. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have learned something new today. So give us a thumbs up if you have liked this video, and do subscribe us so that you do not miss out any other videos. So take care of yourself, and we'll see you again in another video. Thank you.